In this video, I want to teach you all about recovery with myofascial release or foam rolling. Foam rolling is so beneficial for the body in many different ways. It helps to increase blood flow, break up connective tissue, and release tense muscles. So you can foam roll at the beginning of a workout to help you warm up. You could foam roll in the middle of a workout if you're feeling tight in any muscle area. And you can foam roll at the end of your workout to help you with recovery and stretching out, really breaking up any of that tension that you developed during your workout. So I'm going to take you through my favorite foam rolling routine. All right. So with your foam roller, you're going to start with this on your upper back. I tend to stay away from any low back foam rolling unless directed otherwise from a professional physical therapist or doctor. So on this one, we're thinking about our thoracic spine, which is the middle of your back. So this portion right here is your thoracic spine. So what you'll do is bring your foam roller in this position, and then you're coming down onto that middle back. So if you are someone who wears a bra, this would be where that bra strap sits, okay? So to start with this, we are gonna work a little bit of extension. If this doesn't feel good in your body, you don't have to do this at all, okay? So go ahead and take your hands behind your head, so you're making a little basket for your neck, and then you're pulling your elbows in pretty tight, okay? This is gonna help to open up the thoracic area on your back, okay? Feet are flat on the floor, hips are grounded, and you're just gonna take a tiny little extension over that foam roller. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, pull forward. Roll down a little bit on that foam roller, and then we'll do it again. So pulling those elbows in, and then exhale to pull forward. Then find one more little spot on your foam roller. We'll do a total of 3. Pull those elbows in, extend over that foam roller. So notice how that was not extending the low back at any moment. It was just working on getting some mobility in the upper back. So now we'll go into rolling out that area. So I'm going to have you take your arms, give yourself a nice big hug, and then lift your hips up off the ground. You'll have some core engagement here. And now you're going to go back and forth just a couple inches at a time. All right, so it doesn't have to be huge. You're not trying to go all the way down to the low back. Just staying on that upper back. I like to go anywhere between 10 to 30 seconds or maybe 10 rolls up and down. All right. After you do a couple of those, what I'll have you do is roll to your left side. So you're just going to roll underneath that shoulder blade, and that's going to help get the lat, which we are usually very tight as swimmers in our lats. Same thing, about 10 rolls up and down. And then we'll switch to the other side. So rolling over to the right side, up and down. Doesn't have to be big. Great. All right. Go ahead and release that. Come up. If you have a long foam roller, one that I like to add in is where you sit on your foam roller very carefully, and then you'll roll down to rest the head, okay? From here, nice little shoulder opener as you take the arms out to the side and just try to keep them on the ground, right? This is really nice to help open up the chest. The second variation of this is to pull the elbows down into a W and then maybe even pull, okay? And then just hang out here and rest. Couple deep breaths in. As long as this feels okay, it's not too intense, you're not going to take some overhead presses. So reach the arms up and then pull them back down. So now you're working shoulders within range of motion to help increase mobility. Still getting that chest to open. This one you could take about 5 to 10. Other helpful ones that I like to take on this, depending on how you're feeling in your body, are some arm circles. You can think of this like a little snow angel, sweeping up and around. Okay? Or even just moving side to side. So sometimes there's that knot in that shoulder blade that we just can't get. So I've taken my right foot out a little bit wider so I can roll to my left shoulder blade. And then we'll do the other side. So just play around with it. There's not too many things that you can do wrong in this position. You're just trying to find spots that feel tense and work those out. All right? So we'll carefully come off of the foam roller. And we're going to move into our glutes. So you'll turn your foam roller back to how we originally had it. And you'll sit on your foam roller. Okay? If you have sensitive wrists on this one, you can always make a tent with your hands or a fist. Okay? So for this one, you can start by rolling up and down on both glutes. It may or may not feel pretty intense, and you can stay here. If you need a little bit more, I'll have you take your left foot on top of the right so that now we've opened up and we're starting to stretch this left glute. And now you'll roll to that left side. And notice, whoo, that got a little bit more intense. So now that we've stretched that muscle, we're going to be able to work more in those deep muscle tissues. As you move through any foam rolling, if you get to a 7 on your 1 to 10 scale, where you have to grit through it, that's your cue that it is too intense. And I want you to just roll off and go a little bit lighter, okay? You can always ease in to foam rolling. Go ahead and switch to the other side. So right leg is going to cross over. We've now opened up that hip, and we're going to roll up and down about 10 times. Lovely. All right, so from here, let's move down to hamstrings. Now hamstrings can be a little tricky because they're pretty dense, so foam rollers might not always get them. If you need to, you can grab a little ball and we can foam roll or myofascial release that way. So to roll out your hamstrings, you're going to prop yourself up and roll back and forth. Okay, so same thing, it's a great little core exercise too. You could even roll a little bit to one side or to the other side. And if this doesn't feel like much, you can cross one leg over to help add some pressure. Like I said, hamstrings are pretty dense, so this might not feel too bad if you have some mobility in those hamstrings. Go ahead and switch sides. Great. Another one we want to go for, right down the chain, calves. Okay, same thing. Okay, pushing onto the hands, okay, rolling back and forth. And if this feels difficult for the core, it's because it's kind of a low-key core exercise. Okay, same thing, we can cross one leg over, so that added weight just increases the intensity. And go to the other side. Great. This one is also nice if you have a little ball, like a lacrosse ball is a great one. You can roll out here. Great, go ahead and release down. So now we'll move on to the front of the body. So we'll go into your quads, which usually are pretty intense. So because your quads are very large, I roll in sections. So I go lower, upper, lower, mid, upper, all right? So what we'll do, we'll start by going into a forearm plank, and you're gonna go down towards your knees. So not on the kneecap, but towards the knees. And I have my toes on the ground so I can kind of rock back and forth. Okay, so right here, rocking back and forth, just a couple inches. Remember, we're sectioning this off. So we're doing the lower part towards our knee first. Now you can take a little bit of a rock to the right side, and that's going to get that outer part of the quad. And we'll rock to the left side. Feel free to spend more time in any place where it's a little bit crunchy. All right, now we'll go to the mid part of the quad. So rolling down and back, a couple inches. Same thing, we'll roll to that right side, up and back. And other side. And then we'll go to the final piece. So rolling down even more. Ooh, my mat got a little bit wonky. And rolling here. Okay, so this is starting to get into a little bit of the pelvis. So we'll get hip flexors just a little bit. So roll to that right side, and you'll notice that you can go up a little bit higher and get into that hip flexor. And go to the other side. So start to think about where you felt maybe the most intense spot, and we're going to revisit it. So for me, mine is down towards my knees, and we're going to do what's called flossing. So keep flexion in your feet, and you're going to pull your heels in towards your butt and then release back down. Yes, this should feel pretty intense, and your goal is to get about 10 curls in, because by number 10, it should feel better. I know you probably don't believe that. So yeah, flossing, you can floss a lot of different muscles. You do this with your hamstrings, you do with your shoulders, okay? Anything where you're just kind of staying, putting pressure, and then moving through range of motion. Great. And that should be feeling a little bit less intense. If it doesn't feel that way, keep at it and do it another day. I'm sure it'll start to loosen up soon, okay? Go ahead and gently push back. Let's move into an inner thigh exercise. So on this one, you're going to take your knee out to the side, kind of like you're going into a frog position, and then we're rolling side to side. So getting that inner thigh to help open up. And if you feel really tight and intense here, that's okay. About 10 rolls, and then we'll gently switch to the other side. So keeping that foam roller in the same angle, just moving it to the other side. So knee goes out onto the foam roller, and then you're rocking side to side. Again, you'll notice one side feels a little less tight than the other. We are not symmetrical as much as we look symmetrical. One side will always feel a little bit tighter than the other. Great. Go ahead and come on up. The final one that we're going to get into is shoulder bicep. All right. So on this one, I like to turn my foam roller to an angle, and I'm coming down so that my foam roller is going to sit on the edge of my shoulder. Okay. So rolling up and back, rolling up and back. You can even get down into the bicep a little bit. Here's a nice way to floss as well, where you can keep that arm in the spot that feels most intense, and then rock the hand side to side. So rotating, again, moving through a range of motion while pressure is put on that side. Good, and then we'll switch to the other side. So bringing this foam roller to an angle, and then rocking back and forth. The bicep, and then getting up into the chest. Ooh, a little intense there. And then you can rotate palm. Great. And then go ahead and gently release. So the body should be feeling nice and warm, a little bit looser. Use this anytime that you need to come and loosen up the body a little bit or recover.